I'm going through a few rough issues in my life. Nothing catastrophic, just a ton of annoyances that have decided to converge at the same moment in my life. And so I was just sitting down thinking about some of the good memories I've had, and I realized how many little moments we have. And I'm probably having some right now which are being overshadowed by all these little crazy things. And hopefully, 10 years from now, I'll be making a video about something that's happening today. But I was just thinking about various funny things that have happened, just little moments. When I was 16 years old, I had a close friend who we just liked to bullshit to each other. And one day, my mom had taken me to a shopping mall, and I wanted to give this friend a prank call. And I went up to a payphone. I didn't have a cell phone at the time. Went up to a payphone, and then I realized I forgot my money. I couldn't didn't have money to put into the payphone. Well, but I had already thought of what I was going to say to this friend, so I decided to make a collect call. And I was thinking when the collect call asks for your name, I could really quickly say what it is I wanted to say, so he wouldn't have to pay for the call. That was what I was hoping. But the when the computer came on the collect call line and asked for my name, it was a little bit shorter than I had thought. And so I ended up giving a fake name. I basically wanted to abort the idea. I was hoping he would say no, and that'd be the end of it. We have a good laugh. But for some reason, he accepted the call, and now I'm really scared. I didn't want him to get in trouble. I think he was 16 years old as well. I didn't want his parents to argue with him over running up a phone bill, and so I didn't want him to know it was me. So on the phone, I pretended that the phone connection was bad and that he couldn't hear what I was trying to say. I made muffled noises, and so this went on for like 2 minutes, and then he hung up. And then I went home and I realized that he had sent me about a dozen instant messages. We were using AOL instant messaging, and asking me if I had tried to call him. I denied it, but he was pretty sure it was me, and he blocked me on AOL Instant Messaging for a good week or two, and eventually he forgot about it. I recently wanted to confess to him about making the phone call, but he had no idea what I was talking about, so which is good. Um, when I was in fifth grade, I used to have a dream of someday growing up and making a living counting cards at blackjack. So I had downloaded a computer program to play blackjack and practice counting cards on it. It's pretty hard to find a program that actually uses decks of cards as opposed to just randomly generated cards, which is basically infinite decks, which won't help you with counting cards, obviously. But I found a program not only that uses fixed number of decks, but lets you set how many decks there are. I think there are one, two, three, up to 8 decks, if I remember correctly, and you can set quite a few settings for of different rules of blackjack. There's a few variants, how many times you can split, whether or not you can hit after an ace. I used to be a much bigger expert in this. I'm hoping to someday write a computer program to figure out some card counting matters. I haven't gotten to that for some reason. Anyways, so I was playing against this computer, and there were two really funny things that came up. One day I was playing, and the dealer dealt himself an ace, and then the computer announced, "Do you want insurance?" And at the time, I had no idea what the word insurance meant. I had a vague idea that every month when the bills came, some of them were various insurance bills, but I had no idea what the word insurance meant. And then I went online or I don't think I went online. I went to the help menu of the blackjack program to learn just what that insurance bet is all about. I knew when I placed it, sometimes I would win, sometimes I would lose, and I learned, oh, it's if the dealer gets blackjack, and so I figured I wonder why it's called insurance, and then I realized it's because of if you lose because the dealer gets blackjack, the insurance bet pays you back. So after that, I started to understand the concept of insurance, why we insure, our home, our car, the life insurance, and I started to realize it's all the same concept as placing insurance bet and blackjack. So that was the first time I learned about that concept. And then one time I had lost a bet. Obviously I lose bets all the time, but one time it was really funny how the dealer it had animation in the program. The dealer would have an animation of a hand reaching out and grabbing your bet. It would go, dealer wins. And it's especially annoying to hear dealer wins. It has a sharp sound to it compared to player wins, right? The dealer wins has a sharp sound to it. And I just thought it was really funny. And after that, every time I would collect money that somebody owed me and I took it from them, I would go, dealer wins. I was only 10 years old, and that was just a really funny concept. I competed in math counts when I was in seventh and eighth grade. And I think once a week, before first period in school, we would have practice. And one time I had went to the practice, and we were using graphing calculators. One of the sections in the math counts contest requires graphing calculators. And I had forgotten to turn off the calculator, and our coach got very upset. It was a graphing calculator, it uses AA batteries, and I drained the battery because I forgot to turn it off, and the calculator was on all week. And the coach got very upset, and she just made so much noise about it. Every time I saw her, she totally embarrassed me, and I wanted revenge. So one day, when everybody was out to lunch, I snuck back into the classroom, and I turned on all of the calculators. And but by the next time we went to practice, none of the calculators were working, and our coach never figured out what happened. She thought that maybe somebody had came in to test all the calculators or something like that. She never figured out that it was over a revenge. Okay, and I had another close friend. This time I didn't prank call him, but we were in college, and I used to be really nervous around girls, and I had a situation that made me even more nervous because I had dated this girl, but she had moved away, and I wanted to talk to one of her friends, which I very vaguely knew. This was in the early days of Facebook when you couldn't just find somebody very easily. I only kind of knew what she studied, and I had one picture of her, and that's the extent that I knew her. And we didn't even speak the same language. She doesn't speak English. I don't speak her language. And I had gone up to this close friend of mine that I had known since third grade, and I confided in him about this. And he helped me compose the email. We used Google Translate to translate the message, but apparently it got lost in translation. She never responded to it. My guess is that it was poorly translated, obviously. Even today, when I communicate with other people, it looks crazy when messages go back and forth. It's all right. Last year, I was working at a tutoring center, and one day I needed to give a coworker a ride. His car needed to be repaired, and I was living in my car at the time. It was a mess, and I tried to put as much stuff into the trunk as I could before going to pick him up, and I was trying to explain to him that I was helping a friend move. I didn't want him to know I was living in the car, and the car just smelled like it had been lived in pretty much, if I knew it did. And he says, "No, don't worry about it. It's your home. You don't have to apologize." And I had to bite my lips to keep from laughing. He knew I was living in it. He put a lid on it. He didn't think it was crazy or anything, and that was just that. When I was going to school at RIT, I was working on my PhD. I had a classmate that was from the Middle East, and one day I had ran into him at a grocery store, and I heard him chanting something like, Andrew, you got to come see this." And he was pointing to somebody in the checkout lane, and he was saying this guy's committing three sins because he's buying pork and beer. And in the Middle East, Islamic religion, those are pretty bad things to consume. and he paid with it with a credit card. And in their religion, it's a sin to go into debt. And so my friend was telling me that this guy's committing three sins. And I had another Middle Eastern friend, and he had told me that people from Israel are terrorists. How this had come up was I was buying some coins from somebody on eBay, and I had paid the seller with a PayPal account, but the seller was claiming he never got my money. It, I checked my bank account to make sure the money had left my bank account, but he's claiming he never got it. So now I'm really concerned, and I called my bank to complain, and I got my money back. And just as I get my money back, the seller said, "No, no, no, I got it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." And I was so upset at all the frustration that he had caused. I decided not to tell him and hope that he sends the coins anyway. And I was talking to my Middle Eastern friend about this because I know the Middle East and Israel don't get along. And he said, "Oh, no, 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 don't worry about it. People from Israel are terrorists. You should be glad to be taking money away from them." And so I asked him, "Well, what other countries do you think are terrorist nations?" And he said, "Just mostly Israel and the United States." And it was kind of funny. And so he was okay with me scamming that guy. I wasn't scamming him because I thought he was a terrorist. I was scamming him to make up for the inconvenience that he had caused me. I was kind of young and stupid. Anyways, I make this video to highlight that you got to enjoy the little moments in life because it will never happen the same way. And I bet when all of these stories were happening, there were other troubles that were happening in my life, troubles that I've now since forgotten. And if you're going through troubles, I bet 10 years from now you'll be talking about today in a completely different tune. Thanks for watching.